Hi everybody, this is Nick from Game Crate. I'm here with Fred Wester. Fred is actually the CEO of Paradox Interactive, and thank you so much for joining us, Fred.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah. So what's coming up next, or what's coming up is soon from Paradox? You have a big booth here, a few games on display. Yeah.
Well, we do have a booth here, and we're showing War of the Vikings that is releasing now on Tuesday. It's on early access on Steam.
Yeah.
So you can grab a copy now and get into the game, but we're releasing a lot more features now on Tuesday. And we're also showing the new expansion to Europa Universalis 4 called Wealth of Nations, and it's releasing in May.
Okay.
And we're showing Magicka Wizard Wars, which is soon to open beta. Enter open beta. So we haven't decided a date yet, but we hope it's going to be within very soon.
Okay, all right, and so let's run through those kind of one by one. And what exactly is War of the Vikings for people who don't know?
Well, War of the Vikings is a medieval brawler. It's a close quarter combat game where you hit each other in the head with axes, basically.
Yeah.
It's a Viking era warfare.
Yeah, we got a chance to play it actually a little bit yesterday, and it is a lot of fun. And how about Magicka Wizard Wars?
Well, the game Magicka has sold close to 3 million copies, and it's loved worldwide. And we were asked by our audience to build a more PvP-like experience.
Oh, yeah.
And that's how we came up with Magicka Wizard Wars. 2 years ago we started building it, and now it's finally ready to meet a larger audience than the closed beta we had so far.
Okay, yeah, and then you talked about the new expansion to Europa Universalis, the War, it's Wealth of Nations.
Correct, yeah, it adds more in-depth trading to the game. As most people know, Europa Universalis is already a very in-depth game, and this increases that even further.
Okay, yeah. And so we've already written a lot on Game Crate about Pillars of Eternity from Obsidian, and then it's just recently been announced that you guys are actually going to be publishing that title. So talk about your partnership with Obsidian.
Yeah, it's very important to remember that Obsidian and Paradox are two separate companies. We're two strong independent companies who want to remain really strong and independent. So our partnership is basically based on the fact that Obsidian are going to do what they do best, develop games and manage their IP. And we're going to handle distribution, publishing, traditional publishing stuff like marketing as well.
Yeah, I know that there was a lot of discussion on the Obsidian forums after that was announced. A lot of people who had supported them through Kickstarter and everything, they were kind of surprised that they went with a publisher. But so that's your what you have to say to them is you're addressing their concerns.
I think that the biggest winners in this cooperation are actually the gamers, because what we add to this equation is not only our publishing arm, but we're also adding QA resources, we're adding marketing money that Obsidian otherwise would have to spend from their Kickstarter money. So they can use all the money they got in to only developing the game and fulfilling the promises they made on Kickstarter, and we are adding on top of that QA, marketing, and the resources that we come with to the table. So I think the gamers are actually the winners.
Yeah, all right. And so talk a bit more about crowdfunding in general. What's your perspective on that as a publisher?
I think crowdfunding is great. We see a lot of opportunities coming up with crowdfunding, and you see a lot of really successful cases being built with crowdfunding as a source. We are yet to find a model that works for Paradox, but I do not doubt that in the future sometime we might also go with the crowdfunding one or more of our titles, or maybe go into a new business area working with crowdfunding to start it off.
Yeah.
I have a lot of respect for crowdfunding as a phenomenon that has hit the game industry and taken us by storm. I think it's a great thing for indie developers, and it can turn into something really good for publishers as well.
Okay.
We just need to be ready to take the step and say to the gamers, invite the gamers earlier, saying, you know what, you have a say even earlier in the process. And that is always a big step for any publisher to take.
Oh, yeah. And so, what do you have to say to game developers out there who maybe they got a bunch of money through Kickstarter, they're developing a game, why do they need publishers, or what can a publisher offer to them?
That is always a good question. If you feel that you can do everything yourselves, I think you should do it. If you want to have backup financially, marketing-wise, sales-wise, you can go through a publisher. But the more money you have up front, the more you funded of your own development, the better your negotiation position is towards the publisher as well. So you can basically still claim or still have your independence and go through a publisher at the same time. And that is something that wasn't even an option 5 or 6 years ago.
Okay, so it's really the best of the both worlds. You get the support of a publisher, but also independence.
I think it's combining the best of two worlds, definitely.
Okay, and can you talk a bit about the state of the video game business as it stands right now? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, depending on where you are in the video games business, I know that a lot of AAA console developers have a tough time. And I think that the mobile space is getting a bit crowded as well. But a lot of companies are making a lot of money, and I think that overall the video games industry has never been healthier than it is at the moment. There are better games being made, there are more innovative ideas, there are better things being published now than 6 or 7 years ago.
Okay, yeah, interesting. And so we've been asking everybody that's been coming out and sitting down with us about virtual reality, like the Oculus Rift, Project Morpheus, and where do you see Paradox fitting into that world?
We'd love to do something for virtual reality. We just need to find a game where it actually makes sense.
Yeah.
It just can't be a gimmick in the game that is also virtual reality. It has to be a part of immersing the gamer into the experience. But once we find a game like that, I can promise our gamers that we're going to deliver a virtual reality experience.
Okay, that's exciting to hear. The last question before I let you go, I know the people out there, the Newegg fans, are going to be interested. Are you a gamer yourself?
I'm a huge gamer. I play all the games that we publish. I play a lot. I played, for example, Vikings now for 75 hours.
Oh, wow.
I played Wizard Wars for over 60 hours in total.
Yeah.
And I play League of Legends almost all the time. So I try to convince everyone in the office who's a Dota 2 player. We have a majority of Dota 2 players in the office.
Yeah.
And I just told my new executive assistant that it's a huge bonus if she's a tank in League of Legends as well.
Wow.
So I'm totally a gamer through and through. I've been playing games since I was 6 years old.
Oh, wow, that's fantastic. All right. Well, thank you very much, Fred, and thanks to Paradox for coming out to join us. You can read more about what's going on with Pillars of Eternity, War of Vikings, and everything else from Paradox by going to gamecrate.newegg.com. Thanks.